The digital clock on the wall glowed 11:47 p.m. Yan Kong did not look away from it. He sat in complete darkness, motionless, like a man carved from shadow. The $15 million Manhattan penthouse behind him was silent. No music, no television, no lights. Only the muted hum of the city far below seeped through the floor-to-ceiling windows. 60 floors down, New York was alive. Yellow taxis crawled through rain-slick streets. Neon signs flickered. Laughter spilled out of late-night bars. Somewhere below, people were falling in love, breaking hearts, making mistakes. But up here Yan Kong waited. A cigarette burned slowly between his fingers, forgotten. Smoke curled upward, dissolving into the darkness above his head. His jaw was clenched so tight the muscles twitched beneath his skin. He checked his watch. 11:48 p.m. His patience, already thin, snapped another thread. Yan Kong was not a man accustomed to waiting. He was the head of the Kong Syndicate, the most feared Korean crime organization on the East Coast. His influence stretched from New York to Atlanta, from Miami to Chicago. Underground casinos, high-rise real estate, shipping routes that never appeared on any official manifest. Men bowed when he entered a room. Enemies disappeared when he spoke a name. Yet here he was, sitting in the dark, waiting for one woman to come home. And that fact made something dangerous coil tight in his chest. The elevator dinged. Yan's entire body went still. The cigarette was crushed out in the crystal ashtray with a sharp, violent twist of his fingers. He leaned back against the couch, spreading his legs, resting his arms casually on his knees. He did not turn on the lights. He did not move. He waited. The front door unlocked with a soft click. Nadia Brooks stepped inside. She was dressed in a tan blazer over a black blouse, tailored slacks hugging her hips, heels dangling from 2 fingers as she kicked them off near the door. Her natural curls were pulled into a low, neat bun, a few strands escaping to brush against her neck. She looked polished, professional, like she had come from somewhere important. She didn't see him at first. She took 3 steps inside the penthouse before she felt it, that heavy pressure in the air. The unmistakable awareness that she was not alone. Nadia froze. Her heart dropped straight into her stomach as her eyes lifted. Yan Kong sat in the shadows, his face partially illuminated by the city lights behind him. The skyline framed him like a throne of glass and steel, making him look even more dangerous than usual. His dark eyes locked onto hers. Cold, intense, possessive. Coming home at this hour? His voice was low, controlled, but underneath it something burned. Nadia swallowed hard. Her voice caught. She tried again. I didn't realize I had a curfew. Yan stood. He was tall, over 6 feet, and when he moved the room seemed to shrink around him. One slow step, then another. His bare feet made no sound against the marble floor, but every step felt loud in her chest. I asked where you were, he said quietly. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag. That's not your business. He stopped less than a foot away from her, close enough that she could smell him. Smoke, expensive cologne, something darker beneath it. Close enough that her back brushed the door. You live in my home, Yan said. You disappear 3 nights a week. You come back near midnight. And you think that's not my business. I work for you, Nadia shot back, her hands shaking despite her steady tone. I don't belong to you. Something dangerous flashed across his face. You don't belong to anyone, he said slowly. And yet, the thought of another man touching you makes me want to burn this city down. Silence slammed between them. Nadia's breath caught. Before she could respond, Yan's phone rang. The spell shattered. He stepped back, all emotion vanishing behind the cold mask she knew so well. He answered the call without breaking eye contact. Yes. A pause. How many? Another pause. I'll handle it. He ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. This conversation isn't over, he said. When I get back, we finish it. And then he turned and walked out, leaving Nadia pressed against the door. Her heart racing, her world tilting off its axis. She slid down slowly until she was sitting on the floor, because she finally understood something terrifying. The most dangerous man in New York wasn't angry. He was jealous, and that was far more dangerous. Nadia did not sleep that night. She lay awake in the small bedroom at the end of the penthouse hallway, staring at the ceiling while the city hummed outside the windows. Every sound made her tense: the low whir of the elevator, the distant honk of traffic, the subtle click of the building settling. Her mind replayed his words again and again. The thought of another man touching you makes me want to burn this city down. Yankong terrified her. And somehow he also made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. She had taken the job because she was desperate, broke, grieving, drowning under debt and loss. She had told herself it was temporary. 6 months, maybe a year. Long enough to pay off her mother's medical bills. Long enough to breathe again. She hadn't planned on him. By morning, Jan was gone. The penthouse felt emptier without his presence, like a storm had passed through and left charged air behind. Nadia went through her routine on autopilot, cleaning surfaces that were already spotless, organizing drawers that didn't need it, cooking breakfast that went untouched. She told herself she didn't care. She lied. By noon, his office door was open. That alone made her pause. Yankong never left that door open. She tried to ignore it, but voices drifted out, low, sharp, unmistakably male. One of them belonged to Dorian, Jan's right-hand man. The other was unfamiliar, deeper, rougher. "He's distracted," Dorian said coldly. "Ever since she arrived." Nadia's steps slowed. "You're imagining things," the other man replied. "He's always been like this." "No," Dorian snapped. "He's softer. He's late. He's watching instead of acting. And it's because of her." Nadia's heart started pounding. "She's just a housekeeper." "Nothing is just anything with Yankong," Dorian said. "You know that." There was a brief silence. Then, "You remember Yuna." The name hit Nadia like ice water. "She was supposed to be his wife," Dorian continued. "Park family royalty. A political marriage that would have made us untouchable." Nadia's breath caught. "She sold him out," the other man said quietly. "Fed information to the Italians. Tried to have him killed before the wedding." Nadia's hand flew to her mouth. "He almost died that night," Dorian said. "Those scars on his chest? Not decoration. Reminders. That's why he doesn't trust. That's why he never lets anyone close." Silence. "And now," Dorian finished, "there's Nadia." Nadia stepped back before they could hear her breathing. So that was it. Jan wasn't dangerous because he didn't feel. He was dangerous because he felt too much, and once it had nearly killed him. That night, the penthouse door opened just after 9 p.m. Nadia was in the kitchen when she heard it. She turned and her stomach dropped. "Step away," he said calmly. Dorian froze. "Jan, this isn't." "It's exactly what it looks like." Men grabbed Dorian, forcing him to his knees. Jan didn't even look at him again. He went straight to the bedroom door. "Nadia," he said softly. "It's me." The door opened. She collapsed into his arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I'm so sorry I doubted you." "Just hold me," she sobbed. And he did. Like he would never let go. Jan didn't sleep that night. Neither did Nadia. They sat together on the couch in the living room. The same place where days earlier jealousy had cracked open everything they were pretending not to feel. Now the city lights reflected in the glass like distant stars, and armed men quietly moved in and out of the penthouse, securing every corner. Dorian was gone, taken somewhere Nadia didn't ask about, and Jan didn't explain. Some things didn't need words. Jan sat forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tight. The anger in him hadn't faded. It had simply gone still, like a blade waiting to be used. Nadia could feel it radiating off him. "You were never in danger from me," he said finally, voice low. "But I put you in danger anyway." She turned toward him. "That wasn't your fault. It was my responsibility." He looked at her, then really looked at her, and the weight in his eyes almost broke her. "I promised myself I would never let anyone close enough to be hurt because of me again," he continued. "And then you walked in. And I failed." "You didn't fail," she said softly. "You protected me." "Too late," he replied. "It should never have happened at all." Silence stretched between them. Then she reached for his hand. "I don't want to be protected from life," she said. "I want to be protected with you." That made him still. Slowly, He turned his hand over and laced his fingers with hers. You don't know what you're choosing, he warned. I know exactly what I'm choosing, she said. I choose you. Even when you're difficult. Even when you're dangerous. Even when you're afraid. Something in him finally cracked. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear if he loosened his grip. She rested her head against his chest and listened to his heartbeat, strong, steady, human. For the first time he let her stay. Morning came quietly. Sunlight poured into the penthouse, soft and golden. Like the city was pretending nothing had happened. Nadia woke up wrapped in silk sheets, Jan's arm heavy around her waist. For a moment she just lay there breathing. When she shifted, his eyes opened instantly. You're still here, he said. So are you. He studied her face like he was committing it to memory. I need to tell you everything, he said. No more half-truths. No more shadows. She nodded. Only if you're ready. He was silent for a long moment. Then he began. He told her about Yuna, the engagement arranged when he was 27, the alliance that would have made his family untouchable. He told her how he had trusted her, loved her, planned a future he had never allowed himself to imagine before, and how she had sold him out, how men with guns had waited for him the night before the wedding, how he had been stabbed, shot, left bleeding on marble floors that were supposed to host a celebration. How did you survive? Nadia whispered. Because someone pulled me out before I died, he replied. And because after that night I killed the part of myself that believed in love. Until you. He didn't say the words. He didn't have to. By evening the phone rang. Jan's demeanor shifted instantly, calm, cold, lethal. The Morty family, he said after hanging up. Philadelphia. Nadia's stomach dropped. They were Dorian's buyers, he continued. Now they're desperate. What does that mean? It means they'll try to take you. The words hit like ice. No, she said immediately. I won't run. He turned to her sharply. I didn't say you would. That night, Jan moved Nadia to the panic room. Steel walls. Reinforced locks. Cameras everywhere. I'll be back in 2 days, he told her, cupping her face. Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone but me. What if something happens to you? She asked. Nothing will. But fear flickered in his eyes anyway. He kissed her then, slow, deep, like a promise. The power went out at 11:02 p.m. the next night. Nadia froze. Then glass shattered. Footsteps. Voices. They were inside. She ran. Bare feet on marble. Heart in her throat. She slammed the panic room door and sealed it just as the bedroom door exploded inward. For men. Armed. Efficient. Silent. Target not visible, one said into a radio. Her hand shook as she activated the emergency line. Jan answered instantly. They're here, she whispered. In the penthouse. I'm on my way, he said. Do not open that door. Jan, she breathed. If something happens. Nothing will happen, he snapped. I love you. The words landed heavy and final. I love you too, she whispered back. 2 hours felt like a lifetime. When the building shook with gunfire above her, Nadia screamed. Then silence. Minutes passed. Finally, Nadia. Jan's voice came through the door. It's me. She opened it and collapsed into him, sobbing. He held her like the world had almost ended. Because for him it had. The next 48 hours rewrote the balance of power on the East Coast. Jan didn't leave Nadia's side that first night. Not even when his men tried to pull him away to debrief. He sat on the edge of the bed in the panic room, one hand resting on her knee, the other wrapped around a cup of coffee that went cold in minutes. You're shaking, she whispered. Adrenaline, he said. Anger. She knew that look in his eyes now. It wasn't rage, it was calculation. The kind that preceded destruction. They won't stop, she said quietly. Will they? No, Jan replied. So I will. By dawn the penthouse was a war room. Screens lit the walls. Men spoke in low voices. Names, locations, financial channels, supply routes. Everything the Morty family thought was hidden was laid bare. Dorian had talked. Not because he wanted to, but because Jan knew exactly how to make men tell the truth. Nadia didn't ask how. She sat on the couch wrapped in one of Jan's jackets, watching the man she loved become something terrifying and precise. This was his world. Not the penthouse. Not the skyline. War. "You're not going," she said suddenly, standing. Every head in the room turned. Jan looked at her. "I have to." "You don't," she insisted. "Send your men." He crossed the room slowly until they were face to face. "This ends tonight," he said. "If I don't go, it drags on. More attempts. More danger. For you." She swallowed. "And if you go? Then it ends." She searched his face, trying to memorize it. Every line, every scar, every shadow. "Then come back to me," she said. "Not as the man you were. As the man who held me when I thought I was going to die." His jaw tightened. "I will," he promised. "Or I won't be coming back at all." The warehouse in Philadelphia was cold and hollow. Jan walked in alone, exactly as requested. The Morty patriarch waited inside with 6 armed men, smiling like a man who thought he'd already won. "You should have handed her over," Morty said. "This didn't have to get messy." Jan stopped 10 feet away. "You sent men into my home," he replied calmly. "You threatened the woman I love." Morty laughed. "Love? That's your weakness." "No," Jan said, pulling out his phone. "It's yours." Screens lit up around the warehouse. Bank records. Wire transfers. Recorded calls. Federal indictments queued and time-stamped. "I sent copies of everything to 3 prosecutors and 2 journalists," Jan continued. "If I don't walk out of here alive, it all goes public." Morty's smile died. "You wouldn't." "I already did." Silence. Then chaos. The men moved. Guns raised. Someone shouted. Jan moved faster. What followed was brutal and brief. His men flooded the building from every exit. The Morty operation collapsed in under 12 minutes. When the dust settled, Morty was on his knees. "This ends," Jan said quietly. "Right now." It did. By sunrise, the Morty family no longer existed. Jan returned to New York battered, bruised, and breathing like a man who had run through hell and survived. Nadia was waiting. She ran to him the moment she saw him. He caught her, held her, pressed his face into her hair like he needed to feel something real after everything he'd done. "It's over," he said. She pulled back, eyes shining with tears. "Then don't ever scare me like that again." He exhaled a broken laugh. "I'll try." Weeks passed. The city moved on. Headlines shifted. Power redistributed itself quietly, the way it always did. Nadia went back to school. This time without hiding it. Jan paid her tuition without asking. When she protested, he only smiled. "Investment," he said. "In us." One night, standing by the windows where this story began, Jan took her hands. "I don't know how to love safely," he said, "but I know how to love forever." Then he dropped to one knee. "I don't have a ring yet," he admitted, "but I have a life, an empire, a future, and I want all of it with you." Nadia laughed through her tears. "You're terrifying," she said. "And you're fearless." "Yes," she said. "I'll marry you." The city glittered below them. For the first time in years, Yan Kong wasn't watching the world like a man waiting for it to betray him. He was holding the woman who taught him that love wasn't weakness. It was the only thing worth fighting for. 6 months later, Manhattan looked different to Nadia. Not because the city had changed, but because she had. She stood in front of the full-length mirror in a quiet bridal suite overlooking the Hudson River, smoothing her hands over the ivory silk of her dress. Outside, the city buzzed as it always had. Horns, voices, movement. But inside this room, time felt suspended. She thought about the girl she had been when she first walked into Yan Kang's penthouse. Broke. Grieving. Afraid. She had arrived with one suitcase and a heart held together by stubbornness and survival instinct. She hadn't expected to find love. She hadn't expected to find danger. And she certainly hadn't expected to fall for the most feared man on the East Coast. Yet here she was, about to marry him. "Are you nervous?" the stylist asked softly. Nadia smiled. "Not about him." Across the city, Jan adjusted the cufflinks on his black suit. The man staring back at him in the mirror barely resembled the one who had sat alone in darkness 6 months earlier, smoking cigarettes and waiting for a woman he claimed didn't matter. He still carried power, still commanded fear. But there was something else now. Peace. His men stood nearby, unusually quiet, almost reverent. They had seen him ruthless. They had seen him furious. But today they were witnessing something rarer. Yan Kong was happy. "You ready?" one of them asked. Yan nodded once. "More than I've ever been." The ceremony was small, intimate. 50 guests. No politicians. No criminal allies. Only the people who had earned the right to stand close. Nadia walked toward him as the sun dipped low over the river, painting the sky in gold and rose. Every step felt unreal. When Yan saw her, something in his chest loosened that he hadn't even realized was still tight. She was breathtaking. Not because of the dress, but because she chose him, fully, knowingly, without fear. When she reached him, he took her hands like they were something sacred. "You're sure?" he whispered just for her. She smiled softly. "I've never been more sure of anything." They exchanged vows they had written themselves. Nadia went first. "Yan," she said, voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "I came into your life with nothing but determination and pain. You didn't save me. You saw me. You respected me. You fought for me when I didn't even know how to fight for myself anymore." She swallowed. "I promise to stand beside you. Not behind you, not beneath you, but with you. In light and in darkness. In peace and in chaos. I choose you. Every day." Yan's turn. He took a breath, something he once would have mocked himself for needing. "Nadia," he said quietly, "I built my life on control, power, distance. I thought love was a weakness that would get me killed." A small smile touched his lips. "You walked into my world and proved me wrong. You didn't make me weaker. You made me human." His voice dropped. "I promise to protect you, respect you, and love you with everything I have. Not because I own you, but because you chose me." When they kissed, the city seemed to hold its breath. The reception was warm. Laughter echoed across the rooftop. Music played. For one night, Yan Kang's world was free of blood and war and strategy. Nadia danced with his men. Awkward, stiff men who didn't know how to refuse the bride. Yan watched her with a look no one had ever seen on his face before. Wonder. Later, when the guests had gone and the city stretched endlessly below them, they stood alone by the railing. "Do you ever think about how close we came to losing all of this?" Nadia asked. "Yes," Yan admitted. "Every day." She leaned into him. "And yet here we are." He kissed her temple. "Because you stopped running." She smiled. "And you stopped hiding." They moved into a new home, one without the shadows of his past. Yan still ran his empire, but lines had been drawn, boundaries set. Nadia finished her degree, then accepted a position working with underprivileged students in Chicago. The Gloria Brooks Foundation changed hundreds of lives. Yan never missed an event, never missed a graduation, never missed a moment that mattered to her. One night, years later, Nadia stood by a window, pregnant, glowing, safe, while Yan wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Still happy?" he asked. She smiled. "Coming home to you?" she replied. "Always." He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. The man who once sat alone in the dark no longer waited for love to betray him, because love had come home.